1 and 2 and 3, here we go. It's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope and you bang your head on the ring apron. And that's when you feel like a big dough. Cause the worst bumps you could be taking. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. It's the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for the hot tag, but then you go ahead and make your own comeback. And that's when you should quit wrestling. You're better off rolling in thumbtacks. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Now just the claps. The hardest part of the ring. It's the hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Hey, what do you say? What do you know? Tip the veal, try the waitress, movers, shakers, trendsetters, go-getters, gypsies, tramps, and thieves. We got hooligans cracking wise, Weisenheimers on the up and up, jokers on the straight and narrow, dames are flipping their lids, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 2 strikes, 2 outs. It's a scorch out there, and the Brooklyn Dodgers win a series 23 skidoo. Ba-da-ba-ba-da. Hey, it's the hardest part of the ring. It's me, Bob. Good to see you guys. Thank you, Mark and Chris, for joining me once again. Welcome to the intentionally worst wrestling podcast in history of the world. We were talking about the Hulu edition with the not nearly limited enough commercial interruption of the March 1st kicking off merch, kicking off, not selling enough merch unless you're Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny is the only one kicking off merch. The rest of us are kicking off March, and should have been kicked off the television program. It is Monday Night Raw. Let me turn on the light here. Excuse me, folks. I'm going to read my notes here. I'm going to tell you what happened with the Hulu edition of Monday Night Raw, and then I'm going to say things about it. That's how this works. Rinse and repeat. It's the whole system. The show opens with Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant, and then they throw a package in our face. So we're staring at this huge package, this huge, throbbing, blue-veined, meaty package they throw in our face about The Miz versus Bobby Lashley tonight. Oh, what fun that's going to be. And Drew McIntyre arrives. We haven't seen him in 8 days since the Elimination Chamber. He arrives with his sword. He puts it in the floor to summon the rest of the Thundercats. And Drew, you're manly, beefy, so beefy and just sweaty, glistening in the sun, hunk of man meat, Drew McIntyre. He's just so furious, so pissed off at not just the attacks, but the unfair, the thievery of his precious WWE Championship. He is so mad that he talks for a long time. And then The Miz, the perpetrator of all this skullduggery, comes out, and the second Drew sees The Miz, he talks to him for 6 minutes. Oh, what? Why? Why? Drew should be madder than this. He's about to fight his friend of 20 years eventually, after a soliloquy by 18 people. He's about to fight his friend of 20 years who stabs him in the back. But they fight all the time anyway. And his friend who didn't cost him the WWE Championship. And he needs to get his conversation with the guy who screwed him out of the way to deal with the friend that he fights all the time anyway. And also, it's like 4 months of teasing and build-up so they can have this match on Raw, which is foregone conclusion, because really we're waiting to see what happens with the Drew, Bobby Lashley, Miz situation anyway. Did I get all that? So the Miz and Drew McIntyre say a lot of things. It goes on for a very long time. Everyone's got a microphone. MVP arrives, the manager of Bobby Lashley, to remind Miz that he gets a title shot tonight. MVP has a microphone as well. And then Sheamus arrives for his match in his tights, and he has a microphone, and he has things to say. What does he have to say? Nothing. But he said it. Everyone's got a microphone. Raw is microphone. Oh, Jesus. And then finally, after... I wrote it down somewhere here. It doesn't really matter. Who cares? Right before the break, Drew McIntyre and Sheamus brawl for a little bit. Sheamus takes the line over the barricade. And we come back from a break, and 17 minutes into the Hulu edition of the program, which I imagine it was the same opening segment on regular TV, 17 minutes in is when a wrestling match starts. I was disappointed. I like Drew, and I like Sheamus, and I like how hard they hit, and I like the advantage, especially with Sheamus, but with Drew as well, of how when things are quiet in the Thunderdome and you could hear the flesh smacking, that is advantageous to a guy like Sheamus who lays it in, and Drew as well. Unfortunately, I just didn't feel anything. Or just Drew should be pissed at Lashley and Miz, and his Sheamus thing is like, I don't know, you're doing her with a flaccid wiener. You know what I mean? It's like this is not going anywhere. This is a waste of everyone's time. It looked great on paper though. Your wiener. Okay, so this is well, then they show a package of Rhea Ripley saying she's gonna finally wrestle on Raw after not being seen since the Royal Rumble when she was she was the last one eliminated. She was the second to last competitor. So we capitalize on it by not seeing her for a month. Yay! What happened? This is interesting to me because this is one of the first times I ever really remember in on Raw them acknowledging what time it is and what time something will happen. Sometimes they'll say, "Oh, at the beginning of the second hour, beginning of the third hour, you'll do this, you'll do this." They just said 9 p.m. Eastern over and over, and then 10 p.m. and so on and so on. If you've seen the show, and you have, it's Wednesday. So that was just weird to me, and it does show the still to this day New York centric WWE. The Garden is heaven. The Garden is the Mecca attitude of the world revolves around New York City. So this is what time it is there. So that's the only time that matters. And so that was just interesting. At 9 p.m. Eastern, we're doing this. At least they said Eastern. 30 years ago, they wouldn't have said Eastern. They just would have said, hell with the rest of the world. That's Vince. So anyway, they go to do the match, and Miz is in the back, and he's acting like his stomach hurts, and he's pretending he's got to excrete massive amounts of fecal matter out of his anus, like an American. And then they're telling Miz and Morrison are telling Adam Pearce that Miz can't wrestle. Okie dokie. So Bobby Lashley, the monster heel, mind you, when he gets screwed around by the Miz, not even physically, just having his time wasted, he leaves the ring and runs into the back to find him so he can kick his ass. When your top heroic babyface who summons Thundercats is mad, he disappears for a week, and then he shows up to talk to the Miz, who he can easily beat up, for 7 minutes. Who's the babyface? Who's the heel? What the fuck is going on? Waste of time. Don't understand. Stupid goddamn Braun Strowman shows up and he still sucks. He yells at Shane and Adam Pearce, and Shane has to cut Adam Pearce's balls off because whenever there's a big decision to be made, for some reason Adam Pearce can't make it, Shane has to make it. And they decide they're going to have a tag team match for the tag team championships, I think, against the Hurt Business, Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. And Shane is allowed to stand on the ring apron when he wants to, which is the hardest part of the ring. Hardest part of the and Adam Pearce gets tagged in and gets rolled up by Shelton for an easy 1-2-3. And Braun is very, who cares? Braun is very upset. He's very big. Cuts the same stupid promo. Looks stupid. This is going to result in Shane versus Braun, where they're going to have an even 20-minute brawl all over the place match. Shane does a crazy dive, but Shane still gets pinned so he can say he put Braun over, which is stupid. They're going to do it. Braun, in my opinion, is his Mania match just, he's too big to not put on the show. He wins the Battle Royal, go fuck yourself. That's the Braun match, who cares? Or he almost wins it and somebody gets made by putting him out. What the hell do I know? I'm just some dude with the worst wrestling podcast in the world. Elias and Jackson Riker are playing a guitar, and they run into Bad Bunny, who's moving the merch, and Damian Priest. And this sets up a match of Elias versus Priest. And Damian Priest wins this match. So there you go, Bad Bunny. They got Bad Bunny slowly kind of bowing up to some of the heels there, like not full on. If it's like a Jackson Rikers. Hey, how did of the biker trio, Riker and the other two guys, the guy who was like the racist guy, he keeps his job and the other two are gone or they're off TV or whatever the hell they are. How'd that all work out? I don't understand. I'd like to know. I'd like to know the information there. I don't know. The Miz and Morrison are walking, and then Randy Orton talks to Kayla, and then they cut the Alexa's laughing on a screen, and then Randy Orton gets possessed and cuts a promo on himself. He has to watch a video of himself cutting a promo on himself, if that makes any sense. And his eyes turn black, and he gets there's a recap of him spitting up gooey black stuff. And then Bobby Lashley wrestles The Miz at 10 p.m. Eastern. And the second the bell rings, after much stalling, Miz runs away and he gets counted out. MVP got away with saying bullshit on the Hulu version, and then Lashley said piss. I was more amused by the piss. I don't know why. So I'm going to beat the piss out of him. No one ever says that. It stood out. Hey, who are the baby faces? Apparently, Lashley and MVP are the biggest baby faces in the company. If you're watching this show. Charlotte Flair cuts a promo, and they showed Shayna kicking Asuka in the tooth from last week, which did not make Hulu, so this is news to me. So Shayna kicks a tooth right out of Asuka's freaking mouth. And Shayna has a microphone, and Nia both have microphones. They can't share. Shayna and Nia both have microphones. It's not because of the pandemic. If there were no pandemic, they would still both have microphones. Everyone does not need a microphone. Charlotte Flair wrestles Shayna. Charlotte pins her after the natural selection thing. Oh, all of these matches, incidentally, get 8,000 stars each time. Shane McMahon, Adam Pearce, and The Miz are backstage. And I think they come out. Why did I write their names down? I forgot. It's been a day. Anyway, The Miz wrestles Bobby Lashley. And Shane McMahon has to say it's a lumberjack match. Because, again, in theory, the biggest pop for the announcement that would hurt The Miz would have to go to Shane and not Adam Pearce. And then they could say Adam Pearce shouldn't have the role because he's not really connecting with the idiots. So whatever. Let's cheer for Shane McMahon so he can take credit for making this thing happen that we all liked or people wanted to see or whatever. This is the first time in history I think the WWE Championship has ever changed hands in a lumberjack match. I don't even recall an intercontinental match, a title championship match, changing hands in a lumberjack match. It's been defended in such a manner. I think Randy Savage has challenged Hulk Hogan in lumberjack matches in '86 for the big one. I think Randy would defend his intercontinental match in lumberjack matches, probably against George Steele and/or Ricky Steamboat on Saturday Night's Main Event or some form or fashion. Shortly after WrestleMania 3, it's on network. Look it up. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, we had a title shot in 1993 in the spring against Shawn Michaels in a lumberjack match in one of the early editions of Monday Night Raw. None of these were ever changes. They never changed in a lumberjack match until now. Bobby Lashley made history by winning that thing in a lumberjack match. Not much to say about the match. Eventually, Lashley got his hands on him. He chucked him around. He gave him the big Lashley booby slam, and then he put him in the full Nelson. I didn't see the actual tap. I think this would have been more effective with a 1-2-3, but I don't know. It doesn't really matter at this point. The main event should just be Bad Bunny versus whoever. I don't care. Mania. So, Bobby Lashley's your new champion. This was interesting. The Hurt Business did not jump into the ring when Lashley won. They stayed on the outside by the ring apron, which is the hardest part of the ring. And MVP came in, but they really just kind of gave Lashley all his space. It was odd to me that so many lumberjacks were there to do that. Like, I get them all hating Miz, but why do they want to help Lashley? Why did they care that much? Oh, because Shane told them to. Oh, so he can neuter the entire roster. Look what everyone did because I told them to. These guys can't get over like they did in the Attitude Era. Oh, yeah, when they used to say fuck authority in the Attitude Era? Yeah, I can't imagine. Now they're wearing property of WWE shirts and crying on their network documentaries about how they're happy to be there. Can't imagine why. That was Monday Night Raw. Yeah, I didn't have much to say about Monday Night Raw because with Hulu, the thing is, if you have an ongoing thread, and the show was better with an ongoing thread, um, since the match didn't happen at 9, you know it's not going to happen at 10 either. I mean, that's kind of silly. You should know if it doesn't happen at 9, like they say at 8, then it's happening at 11 Eastern. Okay. The point is, you know, it's not going to happen the second hour. This is the second time in recent history they changed the title on Monday Night Raw. Drew beating Orton shortly before Survivor Series, I want to say. So he can do the thing with Roman. So that's interesting. I don't know what they're going to do with that Fastlane pay-per-view. Does just Miz get a rematch and get his ass kicked again? I don't know the answers. Are we doing 3 ways? I hope not. Nobody knows anymore. Mania's looking odd. I'm not even excited. What's the? I don't even know when it is. I mean, it's probably early April, right? A month away. I got a text message. I want to see what it says. Hang on a second, guys. What does everybody want? Oh, something about being jerked off. I have idiot friends. Was there a point? I could have sworn there was another point. Oh, I'm working on something. Yeah, there's a bonus hardest part of the ring coming. I have no idea when, but I'm more than halfway done. I am reviewing a classic WrestleMania during the height of my fandom, as Ric Flair's fat son-in-law likes to say. Jesus. Yeah, so I'm reviewing a classic WrestleMania, one of the early Manias, one of the single-digit WrestleManias, we'll put it that way. And just to tell you what I thought of the whole thing. So that will come probably over the weekend sometime. You know, it's always hit you, whether you like it or not. Win, lose, or draw, cross your eyes, and dot your T's any way you slice it. You know what always hit you? When you fly over the top rope, then you land on a ring apron, and someone picks you up for a suplex. You think you're going to go back into the center where you want to take the bump, but no, they end up dropping you in the hardest part of the ring, on the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you go over the top rope, and you bang your head on the ring apron. And that's when you feel like a big dope, 'cause they're the worst bumps you can be taking. Whoa, it's the hardest part of the ring. It's the hardest part of the ring. Sometimes you reach out for the hot tag, but then you go ahead and make your own comeback. And that's when you should quit wrestling, 'cause you're better off rolling in thumbtacks. Oh, it's the hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Now just the claps. The hardest part of the ring. The hardest part of the ring. Ba-da-ba-da. Ba-da-ba-da.